Happy Sunday into happy Monday, everyone. Depending on when you are catching this, we are here for this week's energy forecast, energy update. And before we get into that, a couple of announcements. First, my next live is this coming week. I've had a little bit of a change up. Sorry about that. I went to plug in the Friday date and all I could hear Spirit Team was saying, change. I got warning signals all over it. It was fine the first time I checked. It was not fine the second time I checked, but it is dialed in now. So we are meeting for our next live event, which is going to be Saturday, May 10th at 10 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. Check your time zone. And we are doing somatic money. We are rerouting back around to somatic money. The next step of somatic money is dialing in your bird's eye financial view. And so this is the segment where I take all the major pieces of somatic money and do an overview and show you how to dial in your inner financial picture. So yes, the previous ones I've been doing have been, introduction, the first one was introduction, the second one was assessment. This one is like, let's take the big pieces of somatic money that I've picked up over the years and let's show you how to begin to dial those in a little bit. So this is going to be a great event for you to come in even midstream if you haven't done step 1 or step 2. I still really encourage you to do the intro, which is free, and then the survey, which is $24.99. You get the PDF and the video that goes with it. This is the third step. Now, the thing I want you to know is the people who have purchased the package, if you purchase the package, you get into this event for free. I will be sending you your e-ticket. You do not have to purchase anything extra. This is all part of your package. Second thing everybody needs to know is if you haven't purchased the package, this is a great way to get just a clip of what's going on with somatic money. So you can come in $24.99 per person. You're going to get the live event. You're going to get the 20-page PDF, and you're going to get the video afterwards. So that is an amazing package for $25. And then I will leave that available for everyone for about a week to 10 days, and then it all goes away. And it all gets bundled back up in the package, which is $169 right now. This is a great way to come in and just get a taste, get a clip, get some really good stuff going on with your inner work, your EQ money inner work with your finances. So that's happening this week. Go to my link tree, look at it, join in. I would love to see you there. And that is on Saturday, May the 10th, 2025, 10 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. Okay, so it is time to do the forecast. So let me swing this baby around and let's take a look at this week. This is the week that we just completed, and I am recording this right here on Sunday, May the 4th, 2025. I did not get this in the last time. Guess what? Today into Monday, Pluto does its slow turnaround and begins to go retrograde, people. Oh my God. So here's what we went through. Not a whole lot of astrological congestion. And here's what we are headed into. It's not too crazy, folks. It's really actually kind of lovely, except for kind of feeling a little bit of the punch from Pluto beginning to go into retrograde, and it's going to move from its 3-degree position back to 1 degree. And this is through into October of 2025. So basically Pluto is going to retrace all those steps that it has been doing for a little while, and we're going to be in some pretty deep review with it. Now, the other thing that I want to point out this week is, look at this. Friday, no major astrology. We literally have one day of no major astrology break. And then the other thing that I wanted to point out is that Mercury is doing some really interesting things here. We got Mercury weighs in, Mercury weighs in, Mercury weighs in. And then as we get into this next week, Mercury. So Mercury is beginning to do kind of a zing, 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 which that's all about communication and logistics. So Mercury is going to be weighing in. Lilith squaring Pluto, that is finishing up. And then we've got Mercury moving into Taurus, where Jupiter is hanging out. So that's going to be kind of a really lovely energy going on. And that's the other thing. We don't have any major timeline arcs or energy gateways. We have maybe a little bit of a glancing blow right here of a timeline arc beginning to come in, but here, no timeline arcs, no speakable energy gateways at this point. And I got to tell you, my life was a little bit upside down, and so I didn't record the solar and Schumann's in. Sorry about that, and I will try and get that updated. But the main thing I want to point out about this week is as I was working this, as I was doing this, all I kept hearing was time of reckoning, and chickens are coming home to roost, and then a thing about the coming adventure. And yes, I've got a notation up here on Vedic astrology. For some reason, right here, moving forward a little while, Spirit Team wanted me to point out and say, for some of you, it might be a good idea right now to take a look at your Vedic astrology. That was something I just kept hearing it and hearing it and hearing it. Vedic astrology, Vedic astrology, Vedic astrology. So if that resonates with you, you might want to go check out your Vedic astrology somewhere around in this window. For some reason, that is really important. And it would be really it would be really interesting if somebody who is knowledgeable about Vedic astrology could weigh in the comment section about why Vedic astrology right now might be an interesting thing to take a look at. That might be helpful. But getting back to the theme for the week, the time of reckoning and chickens coming home to roost. And, I was like, that sounds rather daunting, spirit world. And at first I thought it was like, overall national stuff, because we're like tipping over the edge, like all the decisions that have been made, kind of like chickens coming home to roost, time of reckoning. And I do believe some of that is going on. We're beginning to step across a line of no return. There's real consequences of what is happening at this point that there's like no getting out of at this point, that we're all going to be living through. That's definitely true. But then when I started taking a deeper look here, especially with Lilith squaring up with Pluto, especially with Pluto retrograding, there's a combination going on with the astrology here that it's kind of like the seeds that we have all been planting, we now begin to reap what we are sowing. And it is not just on a national level, it is for us personally. And what I found really interesting with all of this is like the somatic money cards that I pulled. The first one that came out was a self-sabotage card. Right after that, a debt obligation duty card. And then this seemed to be the solution card, alchemize your financial duality. And for those of you who are new to my work, I've got a somatic money oracle deck that covers the entire realm of my somatic money work. And this is the deck, $79, that is all up to snuff. This is the first edition. It's $59. It's got some editing kerfluffles in it. It's not completely polished, but it's still a really solid deck, and I've got a few of these left for sale. But coming back, for some reason, like this card right here, for this week, on the Shadow World side for this week, this card right here, self-sabotage, is something that we're going to need to be paying attention to. And I got to tell you, the self-sabotage thing, I'm kind of already seeing some hints of that, because like this video, I was supposed to be doing the video first thing in the morning and then getting it out to you guys this afternoon, and it all got delayed because there was like one thing that came up after another that came up after another. And then I had a couple of small, they weren't large, but small self-sabotagey things happen along the way. And I was like, damn, it's like, there was a lot of stuff just kind of getting in the way that really didn't need to get in the way. And it had those hints of self-sabotage and a little bit of debt obligation duty. And really, for me to get through it, what did I have to do? I had to ground breeze center and really get into that alchemized center, so I wasn't swinging dualistic, from one end of the continuum to the other. So there's some truth in that. And I really think it's that combination of Pluto and the Lilith thing. We'll get into the meanings here in just a minute. There's some really deep karmic review going on this week. It's going to be really interesting. So whatever is going on this week, the whole thing about what we have been sowing, we're really going to begin to feel some of the reaping of what we've sown. And I think that could be powerfully positive. That could be very positive. And it could also be like a lot of shadow work. And, you know, we're looking at Pluto, the death, rebirth, reconstructor in Aquarius, doing a whole bunch of beginning to go into its review cycle. That's a biggie right there. We've got Chiron, wounded healer, ouch, conjuncting up with Mercury and Eris in Aries, okay? And then we've got an inconjunct between Lilith and Venus. So let's switch over and take a look at what some of these meanings are that's going on here. Let's do the whole Mercury and Aries sextile Jupiter and Taurus. This is like a zing, a day hit. And this is a time of positive communication and expansion, particularly regarding values, resources, and personal growth. So that's going to be on the plus side for us. Then the big heavy hitter this week is feeling that sense of Pluto retrograding in Aquarius, moving from 3 degrees back to 1 degree. And this signals a time of introspection and reflection, particularly around our relationship with technology, social structures, and collective consciousness. So this is a really big deal. We are going to be working with all the way through into October of 2025. And Venus and Aries sextiling Pluto retrograde in Aquarius, and we're going to have that running for 3 days solid right there. And basically this is talking about a powerful transformative experience in relationships and finance. So this is a money department. This is a time for deep introspection and unveiling hidden desires or past resentments. Little bit of a zing right there. We've got Lilith in Libra in an inconjunct with Venus in Aries, right? This is going on, overlapping right there. And this is talking about a potential struggle between social harmony and independent, passionate expression. Interesting soup we've got going on here. And then taking a look at Chiron in Aries conjuncting Mercury in Aries conjuncting Eris in Aries. And this is a powerful, potentially transformative time for addressing identity, self-expression, and personal power. Look at that. Mercury zings here with a sextile, zings is here, one right there. Then it's going to be moving into Taurus. So Mercury's doing some spicy stuff. Then we've got Mercury moving into Taurus, which is a practical, grounded, and deliberate approach to communication and thought. I really believe like this Mercury into Taurus, and it's going to conjunct up with Jupiter in a little while. This is going to be really lovely. It is going to really help you develop grounded communication and logistics, which is that's going to be really, really nice. Then we've got this last one. This one feel like between Pluto going retrograde, and then we've got the North Node in Pisces squaring Jupiter and Taurus. This is a heavy hitter right here. This is the biggie on the horizon. Let me show you. This is North Node squaring Jupiter. It starts on Sunday, okay, and that's going to move all the way through next week. Really important to keep your eye on that one. Why? Because take a look at this. And I think this is part of the flavor of what was coming in with self-sabotage, Pluto retrograde, Lilith square Pluto. And like there's some hinky stuff going. There's good stuff in the astrology, but there's some hinky stuff. And this is coming up for next week. North Node in Pisces squares Jupiter and Taurus. The square can symbolize skipped steps from previous incarnations, lessons you struggled to complete and are now compelled to address with a heightened sense of awareness. Ding, 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 ding. Does that sound anything like time of reckoning, chickens coming home to roost, and a coming adventure with Pluto retracing its steps with, all the structural things that have come apart, and we're going to be reviewing that. We've got a Lilith squaring up with Pluto. Like, folks, I don't feel like this week is crazy nutso with astrology. I don't. But at the same time, I've got this feeling of like, like, be careful of tripwires. Tripwires of self-sabotage that could just sneak up on you and go, bam. I had one today that was like, it could have cost me, but it didn't. It could have cost me, but it didn't. And this whole thing about, what are we doing with our lifelines? Okay. And what are we doing with what we're creating? And then this, Pluto plowing back. I mean, it's not crazy astrology. It's not heavy duty astrology, but it is the type of astrology that can bring you up by your short hairs and go, zing. Are you paying attention? Are you paying attention? And I think the cautionary tale here is that we could get so distracted with what's going on with the national scene that we lose track of our own lifelines, of our own, and I mean that by of our own soul lines, of our own journey, okay? And, like some of the comments that I've been reading, both in my own community and other communities, there's a sensation of like, you guys not so much, but in the outer world, I see commentary like, I'm so numb and I'm so over it and I'm so like, bleh, like, and I can appreciate that, and I know a lot of you are feeling that way as well. And then sometimes I see commentary like, I can't do anything until I know how the politics is going to work out. This is of concern to me because right now the astrology, especially the astrology the next 10 days or so, the astrology is literally going, are you paying attention to your own soul track? Are you paying attention to your own soul line? Because if you are not, zip, we're going to bring you up by your short hairs and get you to pay attention. And so no matter how devastating what the regime is doing, and no matter how disorienting it is, and no matter how challenging it is, this week, especially into next week, there's a sense of like, dial it in, get back front and center with your own soul. Like, I don't want to say what's going on in DC is not important. It is important, but you are more important. You are more important. What are you doing on a daily basis to dial yourself in and be with you and make sure you're on track as much as you possibly can be? Because at the end of the day, through this whole thing that happens, we're the ones that survive this. We're the ones that get through this. We're the ones who are the boots on the ground, who are going to live through the change, the chaos and the change, and then begin to create anew into a new realm. And what that all means is, are you tracking your soul line? Do not wait for other things. Do not wait for other shoes to fall to then pick up your own soul line. It does not work that way. It does not work that way at all. And the astrology this week into next week, it's basically saying, are you paying attention? What are you sowing? What are you reaping? Because we're going to bring you up by your short hairs, because the chickens are coming home to roost, and this is the time of the reckoning. Not just on a national stage, but personally. And if you see me overreaching here and being concerned, I am, because this is where we could lose people. This is where people can get lost in the disillusionment. This is where people can get lost in the waiting and not being engaged. This is where people can get lost in the depression and the darkness. And I'm driving home this point to make sure that you understand, it's kind of like, I want you to know that I know that you know that I know that, yeah, it's easy to get lost in all of this. And you are important, you are valuable. And in you being important and you being valuable, it's important for you to pick up those reins, trace those soul lines, those lifelines, those light lines, to make sure you know that you're on track somewhere along the way, because next 10 days or so, this is really important stuff right now, guys. This is really important stuff. that's what I've got for now. I've got some great information that I'm going to be working on and releasing as we move through this week. There's some really interesting things that I want to share with you. But for now, keep moving forward and doing the best that you can with what you have to work with, because sometimes that really can get us someplace. All right. Mwah. I will see you in my next video.